Honestly, I'm just amazed. I'm blown away. It's incredible that it can make something that good. And what I mean is the quality of the song. The song itself is deeper. There's obviously a lot more meaning in that one. Equally as much of a hit.
The future of music.
The future of music. The future of music.
The future of music.
The future of music.
The Future of Music podcast.
Hey there, once again, friends. And I don't think my family really cares to listen, actually, but we could call them family, John, I think. We are back again. It's the Future of Music podcast, and we are here to show you, as always, how to survive and thrive in the future of music. I am Ryan Withrow, joined, as always, by Sir Jonathan Boyd. And John, you're all over the world still again. Right now, you are in the future, and it's creeping me out. And where are you at right now, by the way? I know you're all over the place for the next, 3 months or something at this point. Where are you located now? Where are you phoning in from in the future?
Phoning in from Singapore at the moment. I think I'm about 13 hours ahead of you. So it is tomorrow for me.
Yeah. No, I mean, technically, isn't it like the next tomorrow now or something? I don't even know at this point because it's like 12 a.m. And I can't do math. I feel like the meme of the math is going to start just coming out and hitting my face at this point where I'm confused. But it's okay. It's good to have you. It's good to have you here. And you've maintained that beard very well on your travel. I will tell you that much right now. But let's dive in. I'm excited today because if you can't tell, I nerd out about this specific topic probably too much. I don't want to calculate how much time I've wasted in life when I should be like
just estimate.
going
Don't calculate,
going
just
out
estimate.
in a bit. But yeah, I'm a little.
Let's hear it.
I'm a little nerded out. But anyway, let's go. Let's do this. So what should we be excited about is the big question. What are we doing today? What the heck? Why are we here? Why are you here in your sleepy state, ready to have a conversation about something? What are we learning?
Yeah, so one of the things that we said was going to come is actually coming. There's an old phrase, pioneers are the ones with the arrows in their back. And we've had a couple of episodes about Suno and Suno AI and how amazing it is that you can basically type in something and it will just generate a song. But now we're starting to see competitors creeping into the scene. So today we have two big competitors. Well, they're both competing against each other, but we have one big competitor and we're going to see, are they really competing with Suno? Find out later in the podcast.
That's good. I think that's the first time you've
Can I be
ever
the
done
host
it
now?
like
Can I be
a
the
newscaster. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
pretty good, man. I'm impressed with it. And I'm impressed with everybody that clicks like, subscribe, and the alert button as well to make sure they follow us and make sure you follow on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Thanks for all of you that do. But today, yeah, man, we talk about AI music generators. I'm sure the audience is shocked. They're shocked that I would do such a thing. So obviously, as you mentioned, we've talked about Suno AI just a ton. I am super addicted to Suno. Super addicted to Suno. I really am. I can't stop using it. I've signed up for an account. Anytime somebody brings up a funny joke or something, I just put it into Suno and I create a song about it. And they just released version 3. We mentioned that. And it's just shocking to me how much we've grown with music generators and generation. And so much that as a metal guy, I've been testing the waters with Suno to try to see how does it actually do like a metal scream versus like an 8-string guitar versus like breakdowns. And it's mastering it by the second. Like it's just growing. But I've been recently hearing about a new one coming to the forefront here. Udio. I think that's it. It might be Udio, but I prefer Udio. But it's Udio AI. They just launched, and they have raised already $10 million in seed funding from some investors and celebrities. And that includes an Instagram co-founder as well. So it's one of the things that allowed me to start saying, okay, well, the fact that Instagram's co-founder is starting to dabble into this world of AI music generation, they've got to have some leg up or potential to compete with the titans in the industry. So this actually is the same as you would normally see, but a little simplified. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So Udio AI music generator provides the function of generating songs based on text descriptions And that's it. You just need a text description. So when we look at something like Suno, it's a full, all-out platform at this point. You log in, you have a login, you have a library, you have all of these customization settings that you can do to really make sure that you produce a song that you want out of the process. Udio's a little more simplified. It could be because they're going from a simplified approach, or because they're just beginning and they're starting to grow. So when you look at Udio, that's all it is. It's an extension. So it's just a Chrome extension now that is attached to your Chrome window, and you just click into it. And this is what you get, man. Simple, straightforward, easy. It's just ready to go with a custom mode, an instrumental mode, a little box for a line of text for you. And once you enter something in, you then, just like you would in Suno, get your two variables or your variations of the songs that it has produced. And you'll notice here that I've entered something into the text thread. It says it's country song about painting my terrace before the work calls. I didn't do that by accident, of course. We may have already been focused on that. And I feel like, John, you and I outside of the podcast often talk about painting my terrace before the work calls. It was in version 2 of Suno. It was a hit. It's version 2 on Suno. And again, they've released version 3. So I thought today, before we start having a conversation about what's going on here in the future of this potential, I figured let's put them head to head. Okay? Let's put them head to head. We got our Suno Painting My Terrace, and we're going to put it up against the Udio Painting My Terrace. And we're going to see which one reigns the victor here. And I don't think we should decide it, actually. I think the audience should probably decide, because we're a little... Well, we've got a little preferential treatment with that original, that OG. But let's take a real quick listen and remind ourselves about what version 2 of Suno produced when we put in that line of wanting to talk about Paint My Terrace before the work calls. Let's just get a quick reminder into the chorus because it's so catchy. So let's do that.
Sunshine pouring down on this old town, dew on the grass, it's a brand new day to be found, yeah. Grabbing my paintbrush, my trusty old hat, got a can of blue, gonna paint my terrace like that. I'm painting my terrace before the word calls, sipping on some sweet tea as the morning sky falls. With a brush in my hand, I'm feeling so free.
So that's the one. I mean, you know, it's just so catchy. It's so catchy. It's so good.
Yeah.
So remember that was version 2 of Suno. So you could kind of hear a little bit of like glitchiness, I guess I could call it, in some of the instrumentation. I think the vocals were pretty close to on point at that point. But when we're talking about like phrasing and like some rhythmic stuff that the instruments were doing, you could hear a little bit of like almost like a metal ting noise, right? Yeah. Which is fine because they fixed that in version 3. But that was version 2. So let's talk about Udio and their first attempt. Again, we went head to head. I used the same one single sentence, and I took the first iteration. I didn't critique it. I didn't do anything. It was my control was what we did with Suno AI, and we did the same thing with Udio. So let's take a listen, and then we'll come back with our thoughts. Here's Udio's version of Painting My Terrace.
As the sun starts to rise, I grab my brush and paint. My terrace needs a fresh coat before my boss complains.
Oh, man.
Dusty blues and rusty reds, the color of my home. Just a small town reminder where my heart belongs. I dip my brush in gentle strokes, story starts to unfold. Each stroke whispers secrets that only I behold. With each stroke I remember the laughter and the tears on this worn out terrace I've shared countless years. Morning hues on my terrace, a canvas of memories, painting my soul sanctuary, where my heart finds ease. Before the phone starts ringing and work consumes my day, I'll soak in the beauty of my haven, let my worries sway.
Got a bridge?
I mean, this is insane.
This is insane. Ooh, solo? Wow. Dang.
There you go. That is Painting My Terrace from Udio. So I've got some thoughts here. I've got some thoughts specifically on what I think the comparison is. But I want to hear from you first because I've heard these before. So I've had time to cook and think about it. But, obviously we love the Suno AI. Now we've heard Udio's version. What are your thoughts, man? What are your gut feelings?
Honestly, I'm just amazed. I'm blown away. It's incredible that it can make something that good. And what I mean is the quality of the song. The song itself is deeper. There's obviously a lot more meaning in that one. And it's just different. But I honestly think it's like equally as much of a hit. I could totally hear Painting My Terrace blowing up on the radio. And then 6 months later, this one, makes the rounds and blows up on the radio too. It's like the next big hit. So on that, I mean, great job, Udio. I don't know how you did that, but it's amazing. It's honestly amazing. As far as the sound, I think both Suno and Udio both have different versions of what we call artifacts in the sounds. So like in this version, it sounded like somebody like the lead singer was using one of those vocal harmonizer pedals or something like that the whole time or almost the whole time. Clearly there was more backup vocals in certain parts than others, but um, it's not like it was bad or it didn't go along with the song. It just sounded like if you listen to a really good, well-recorded record, and what comes to mind right now is like a Fleetwood Mac record. And the reason I say that is because the way they recorded and the way that they edited and engineered was that they made all of their instruments very far apart sounding and a lot of times dry and very clean. So you can hear each distinct individual instrument. And in these, it's kind of hard to distinguish right now. You can obviously hear drums, guitar, whatever, but there's extra layers to the sound for each individual instrument.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like I think the best way to describe it would be if you took a vocal line and somebody recorded just an initial line, and then you just copied that, pasted it, and then pitch shift it instead of having somebody re-record it with that pitch change. For the harmony as well. Same as like when you're recording a guitar part, you never just take the one you recorded and copy and paste it because it doesn't sound right. It just doesn't sound as good. So you always want to re-record the same thing. So I think that there's that. I would say what I notice is something you pointed out right out the gate, and that is that I feel like Suno is doing a really effective job of making the music better. So doing a better job of making it sound like actual recorded music. And Udio seems like they're taking an approach to really start the machine learning for lyric writing and poetry and like how we actually write really good, deep, meaningful lyrics. Because that song was absolutely way more complex than the original Painting My Terrace in terms of lyrically. It was definitely like written by my friend Eric, who sits at the airport watching planes come in and writes poetry in his book, as opposed to me. Right. So really, that's the big difference I'm seeing. So I'm amazed that each company is starting to progress in the way they are with the actual sound of the music that's happening and the writing process. We heard an ending today on something where they actually had like an outro with a new progression, some solo parts, and then a resolution of a chord with a solo happening at the same time, which is amazing. But I also am starting to notice that, that's a hole in the, like, that's a gap in this AI music generation that I didn't even consider, which was it can actively be learning how to write better, more meaningful lyrics at the same time as creating musical sounds that's happening. So it's interesting to me to see that not only now do we have to be fearful of, oh my gosh, they're going to write better music on the guitar, drums, and bass than I can potentially at some point. But then it's like, oh, and lyrically, it's going to start to outperform us in being able to get deep, meaningful connection through a song's lyrics and really impact people the way like a Taylor Swift does to so many people. It's incredible to me, and I didn't consider that part. So for me, I would say that there's no like winner. I would say that Suno does a great job in terms of extension. In version 3, they have the same. They have the endings that are happening now, the solo parts, the bridges. You can extend the same song in Suno now. So you can take a 2-minute song and make it a 4-minute song by just clicking a single button and adding some more lyrics. So I think that is equally happening on both sides. I will say that it seems like the approach of machine learning in how we get are creative in our writing process and our lyric writing process, that's impressive to me on Udio's side. Suno does an okay job. They do really well, but to come out the gate with your seed funding and already have lyrically something that's a little better and more advanced, that's interesting. So I'm interested in the development of that. So 2 things for you, John. 1, thoughts on anything I said. And then 2, I'd like to know, of course, what your thoughts are on the comparison. But even further, are we going to see something like Udio continue to grow? Or are we going to see more companies starting to come in and saying, well, I see you, Suno. I see you, Udio. I'm going to do another one, combining the best things you've done in a slight better version even further.
Yeah, well, I think to the last question, I mean, I think we're going to see all of that. If it's a space where there's a market and people are buying stuff, of course, there are going to be more competitors. And it's just simple economics. And assuming it's a free market, I mean, like, assuming it's like fish feeding in a river. Of course, I'm in Singapore and I'm coming up with an analogy like that. But like, if somebody drops food in a river, as many fish as possible in the area are going to go to the food, and they're going to crowd out, the ones that can't eat the food in the back. That's just how competition works. So I do think that's going to happen. Again, assuming there's a market, and that's something that I wanted to ask you about, which is, what do you think the market for something like this is? Why is it that a company like this is raising $10 million for a simple app or a plugin basically, or a extension that you literally type something in and hear music? Why so much for an application like this? But to answer your other question about the comparison, um, I I think they are. I got the impression that both songs are equally good, in my opinion, because I'm judging based on the quality of the song and obviously the instrumentation, the lyrics, etc. And I'm equally impressed by and blown away by both. I think the artifact scenario is a little bit different because in Suno's original version, obviously we heard, I would say, around the same level or number of artifacts, if you will, if you want to quantify it like that. But to me, in Suno's, I was hearing little pockets of artifacts, like here and there was a weird blip or weird something. Whereas in Udio's, it was kind of a more consistent envelope or room sound, something else that was there. But again, I mean, equally blown away by both. It's absolutely incredible. Like, bottom line, it's absolutely incredible what they can do and what they can come out with. But yeah, so on that note, you asked me about competition and are we going to see more companies doing this kind of stuff? Well, that again goes back to the market and the marketplace. What is the marketplace for this kind of an app other than us making jokes and signing up for an account? What do you think people will use this for? Why do you think so much funding was needed or given? I'm curious about both of those. Love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think we'll find as we go more practical uses. But even now, when I think about how to use this, I'll give you an actual example. There was a day where I was like, oh man, I have no idea or time to do a social post for my social following. I just don't. So what's something funny or engaging that I could do real quick and post and get interaction and like call it a day. So I went into Suno and I did a funny like heavy metal song about the price of milk. And I posted that, and it's like still one of my top performing videos
Love it.
because people are like engaging in this conversation around AI music and laughing about it, but then also being like, I hate this thing. Why is it so good? So really for me, one is just we're going to see it integrated more and more just in everyday life. I think that we went from a time a few months ago where people were so anti AI generation for music, but now we're starting to slowly see it come into normalcy and we're seeing it more and more and more. But outside of that use case, I think the last time you were on the podcast, we were playing a song and you were like, man, that should be the new theme for our podcast. We should just use
Yeah.
that because it was fitting and funny. I think that's where it is. So when I look at tech companies, they're thinking about all the people who are needing songs done, music done for all of their posts on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and maybe they have a podcast and they need sound clips. They need this, like just being able to be in the editing mindset of a content creator and having them go, man, I don't have any music. Let me click my extension with one click and type
Yeah.
in, I need an instrumental, upbeat 45-second intro for my podcast. Click, generate 30 seconds, copy, paste, put it in.
Think
That
you're right.
alone, yeah, that alone is huge. So, and we know at this point how many people are trying to make it as like content creators and influencers and businesses. I mean, even businesses, I mean, everything that you can think of where it's just a single click rather than having to go and hire somebody, pay for licensing, all of this
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, that alone, the licensing side, the paying an artist to record it in the studio, that it's gone. All I have
It's
to do
true.
is get 1 credit or 2 credits on Suno or Udio, and I've got the song done, and I could use it anywhere I want because it's not a registered thing, or I don't have to pay royalty.
Yeah. No, that's
Um,
true.
yeah, I think that that's where I lean, at least in the immediate, is that it's as easy as click, boom, I've got a song that I don't have to pay for, and the royalties are no issue, and I can put it anywhere I want to, and it's done. I didn't have to do it. So the simplicity is the key, I think.
Yeah, that's true. And that also brings to mind like I've heard it a little bit on this trip. We've been in a few Southeastern Asian countries, but also I was in South America last year, and I noticed that almost every restaurant, every cafe that we went into, there was popular songs like anything that you can think of that's been popular in the last 50 years. Any super hit song, you would hear it, but it was a different version. Like in Brazil, for example, they might have like a bossa nova version of like a "Fly Me to the Moon," and it's like, oh, I know this song, but who's this girl singing, and why is it like really cool bossa nova? I really want some chocolate and coffee right now. But I heard that everywhere, and I was like, man, this is weird. I've never been in a place where I'm hearing all these songs I know, but they're all redone and they're in a different style. And I think it's because of copyright issues.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right that something like this, because it's a quote robot, or a computer generating it. I mean, there's no attachment to royalties. I mean, you can play that in any, you can literally go to the figurative version of something like Chat GPT and say, hey, make me a playlist for 2 hours for XYZ bar with this kind of vibe or whatever. Boom, 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 boom. There's your whole playlist.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's, I think too, for the music side, I'm somebody that's very open to it and excited about it, even as an actual like physical instrument musician. I'm really excited about it because, just an example is that heavy metal comedy thing I did had some really catchy parts, like some really
Yeah.
decent ones where I was like, I would listen to this. I really would. So being able to take something like that and try to figure it out, dial it in, and bring it into a proper recording situation and DAW with an actual guitar and like use the ideas to start as a framework is really cool to me. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people are against that. But I think we're going to see more and more people going, if I only had a bridge, if I only had a pre chorus, like none of the stuff I'm writing works for this song. and
Yeah.
they can go in and say, country, pre-chorus, and A minor with a very simple progression. And they get an idea, and it sparks an idea. And then we can start to use things like Remember Moises, where it separates out all of the instrumentation so that you can hear just the guitars, just the
That's
bass,
true.
just the vocals. I think that as well needs to be heavily embraced by modern musicians because it's not going anywhere. I mean, you're seeing new companies come along, get massive investments, and start to grow. And that is the way that technology will continue. It just will. And money will be there. You could say no to it. You could be against it, but you could also start to think about ways that it could benefit you, I think, at the same time. So for me, perfect example was I don't have content. I need something to engage my audience. Let me type something in and take 30 seconds of my day and just post it. And it worked because people
Right.
are interested. So you could either embrace it or you could not. It's up to you. But I think that this is a big deal. And I think that, again, a company like Udio that comes along when there are already so many other people doing it and doing it well, and their first iteration is that good, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think it's an exciting thing to see. But yeah, really cool stuff, man. So I'll give you access to Udio since now you need to keep track of Suno, Udio, some other ones, and then video generators like Sora, and just all these things. You just need like a separate computer going for AI projects, I think, at this point. But I'll leave links for everybody. The Udio one specifically gives you free credits to when you sign up. So you could go play around, compare the two. I know Suno does the same as well. So compare them. Let us know. And let us know from the audio clips as well, which one you prefer. And dig in, look at the links, have fun. And John, where are you going next? Like, when do you actually leave Singapore and then travel to the next location?
I will leave here on what day is today? Friday. So 2 more days here, and then we're gonna go to Thailand after that, and then we'll be in Dubai the week after that.
Oh man, I just feel old hearing you talk about it. So anyway, make sure that you like, subscribe, click the alerts. Make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening as always. And we'll see you next time on the Future of Music podcast.